You know, the stock market believes it has immunity to risk, whether those risks are infections, whether those risks are global slowdowns, money printing, massive debt, global debt. These markets believe, the stock market believes it is immune to the risk. I believe in 2020, we're going to find out if that is true. It's Saturday, February 15th, 2020. So many people out there believe that there will be no correction, that we're going on 12 years now without a correction, that we are not going to have any sort of correction in the stock market, that this whole illusion will continue forever. The helicopter money, the quantitative easing, the low interest rates, this is how it's going to be for the next 100 years. That is the farthest thing from the truth. We are going to get a massive correction, whether you want to believe that or you don't. I believe in reality. I believe in history. I believe in the facts. And I believe that the magic tricks are not going to last forever, that reality is coming to these markets. The magic and the medicine is going to wear off. Enjoy the party while it lasts. That's all I can say about that. Read an article on Zero Hedge today. China is disintegrating. Steel demand, property sales, traffic, all approaching zero because of the situation taking place in China. Now, that leads me to my question here. Being from Southern California, shopping at South Coast Plaza, Fashion Island, the outlet malls, which are 15 minutes from my house here in Cabazon, these are areas that are highly trafficked from people from Asia, people from China. And I've always asked, what if something happens to the Asian markets? What happens to Fashion Island? What happens to South Coast Plaza? Because a majority of the money there that circulates in those shopping areas and Cabazon right out here, this is Asian money. Much of this money is coming from China. People coming from China and other parts of Asia coming here and spending massive amounts of money at South Coast Plaza, massive amounts of money at Fashion Island, massive amounts of money at the outlet center or the outlet mall here in Cabazon near Palm Springs, California. What happens if the markets dried up? What if there was a correction in the Asian markets? Well, now we have something that may even be worse, and this is the situation, the infection that's taking place over in China. What kind of economic stress is that going to put on these luxury retailers over at South Coast Plaza, at the outlet malls? What kind of stress will we see in the real estate market here in Southern California and on the West Coast and in New York, where a lot of Chinese money over the years has flooded to? And now with this whole situation in China, what does that mean as far as real estate sales in America and luxury sales here in America? It's going to be very interesting to see. Also, you will see a lot of Chinese money in Las Vegas. They love Las Vegas. They gamble in Las Vegas. They shop in Las Vegas. What does this mean for the resorts, the casinos, and the luxury shopping in Las Vegas? There is a lot of unknown here right now. And everything that I'm reading, it seems that the situation gets worse, that this thing is growing, they cannot contain it. And when do we finally admit, or when do we finally start seeing financial evidence that this situation is out of control? It's going to be interesting to see what the next 2, 3, and 4 weeks brings. Fiat Chrysler to shut Serbia plant. Again, related to the whole problem over in China. The global economy is grinding to a halt, period. Yet, they continue to prop up the U.S. stock market. Supply chains are in chaos now. The chaos is spreading with these supply chains breaking down. Audio parts are not arriving from China to Fiat Chrysler in Serbia. This is just the beginning. It's going to get worse. China now is disinfecting banknotes. This is on dailymail.com. They are disinfecting the money, literally laundering money at this point because of this outbreak. Absolutely incredible. Yet they're telling us that everything's under control. Gateway Pundit, massive global medicine shortage. We've been talking about this the last few days. You know, we rely on China for a majority of our medicine, a majority of our pharmaceuticals here in the U.S. And I believe we are going to see a slowdown coming. What will Americans do if the medicine on the shelves starts running lean? If they cannot get their pharmaceuticals, if they cannot get their medicine, it's going to be problems. And there are people who are very dependent, who need certain types of medicine in order to survive. What if you're diabetic? You need insulin. I'm not sure if it's coming from China or another part of the world, but you know, heart medication, all types of medication that people are dependent on in order to survive. It's going to be a big problem. I expect to see prices rising. Right here in America, coal shipping in U.S. industrial heartland collapses. So yet we have coal collapsing in America. We have infections spreading all over the world. We have a massive global slowdown. We have supply chains breaking. We have factories shutting down. Yet we're at all-time highs on the stock market. We keep hearing how great things are right here in the United States of America. How come we're not hearing about the coal production plunging here in the U.S.? U.S. coal production has plunged from 1.2 billion tons in 2008 to 597 million tons in 2019. That is a crisis right there. The industry at this point is imploding, yet we just keep hearing how great the economy is doing. And look, I'm not trying to sit here and judge the president. I don't want the president to fail. I don't want America to fail. I don't want coal production to fail. But I mean, I have to call it the way I see it. We have an attorney general that has done absolutely nothing. I'm watching an economy decaying right in front of my eyes. I'm watching manufacturing in recession. I'm watching the auto sector in recession. I'm watching the coal industry flat out in a depression. I see retail stores closing all around me. I see tent cities popping up all around me. I see homeless people all around me. Yet I see a president claiming this to be the best economy in the entire history of America. And this is flat out not true. Not judging the president, I'm just calling it the way I see it. I do not, let me repeat, want to see this president fail. I do not want to see this country fail. But we have to be truthful and we have to call it out the way we see it. He has done some very good things, but he is taking responsibility for nothing more than an illusion. The economy is horrible and it is getting worse, and it is spreading globally. Bank of America, we are witnessing the biggest asset bubble ever created by a central bank. Look at where we're at right now. We cannot normalize rates. We are witnessing quantitative easing, QE4, taking place right now. We have historic PE, multiple expansion melt-up, taking place right now. And the central bank has helped to create the biggest bubble. They are responsible for creating the biggest bubble mankind has ever seen. Yet we're being told how great everything is. I'll tell you what, take away the low interest rates, just normalize them. Take away the helicopter money, the QE4, and let's see how great this economy is. Let's see how great this stock market really is. Let's stop pumping injections of money into the stock market with the regards to the repo market. Let's stop pumping 80 or $100 billion in overnight injections into these markets, and let's see what really happens. You know, to the people out there who want to tell me how great things are, who want to write me, judge me, tell me I'm out of my mind, let's stop the magic tricks for a day and let's see what happens. Let's normalize rates. Let's stop the repo injections. Let's stop all of this quantitative easing, and let's let the markets really do what they do. Let's let the markets act in free form. Okay, let's stop the manipulation. Let's stop stepping in every time the market sneezes, and let's see where the asset prices are for real. Let's see where the markets are real. Let's take the training wheels off the bicycle and let's see if it can pedal down the road or if it will crash. I guarantee you, you take the training wheels off these markets, they crash instantly. The richest and smartest money in the room continue to quietly sell stocks to retail investors as they buy more bonds. What do they know that the average investor or the average consumer or the average American does not know? We look at this economy, it's a complete joke. I hate to say it, but it is a joke. And we better get real at some point. This president better step up and get real at some point. This attorney general better step up and get real at some point. We have serious problems taking place here in America, not just economic. We have very, very serious problems as so many people have broken the law and yet nobody's being held accountable. The economy's a joke. How long will this last? It's gone on for years and years. To my amazement, to the amazement of many of you, many of us thought that this would have failed years ago. But I'll tell you, they have created a nation of debt slaves. They have committed massive thievery, massive crimes here with all the money printing, all this debt creation that has taken place that you and I are on the hook for, that is bankrupting America right now, that is devaluing our currency every second of the day because they are injecting massive amounts of money into these markets, creating massive debt, printing money out of thin air. And this is going to create and has created so much damage that your kids, your grandkids are all going to pay a price. The country is going to pay a massive price. It's paying for it right now. Take a look around at your standard of living. Take a look around at what people are having to do. 2, 3, 4 jobs, tent cities popping up everywhere. People financing cars for 8 years. People living paycheck to paycheck. Credit card to credit card, balance transfer to balance transfer, people accumulating no wealth, no net worth. They are in the negative. People with massive amounts of debt because of auto loans, student loan debt. Yet you're being told that everything is okay, that this is the best economy in the world. Peter Schiff said it right. Nobody should be taking credit for the economy. We should be asking who is to blame. The budget and trade deficits are bigger now than ever before, and you think there are going to be no economic repercussions because of debt and deficits. You are truly mistaken. GDP was 2.3% in 2019. That's a booming economy. The only people who say the economy is booming are people who have a 401k or a money market or a little bit of money in the stock market. And so the stock market's up, the 401k's up, the money market's up, so everything is okay. But if you don't have money in the market, you know that the economy is doing horribly. And even if you do have money in the market, in a pension, in a 401k, you're working paycheck to paycheck and you are keeping your fingers crossed that that pension or that money market or that 401k is going to be there the day you retire. And you don't have that money in your hands right now. And if you took it out, they would tax half of it and take half the money right out of your hands. So is it really your money? If you don't hold it, you don't own it. The Fed had to save the stock market again last year in 2019 by cutting rates and coming back with more quantitative easing. So how can anybody tell you or I that this market or this economy is booming when we are seeing helicopter money, more quantitative easing, we're seeing low interest rates, expect to see a rate cut coming soon. We're seeing repo injections out of this world. We're seeing all of this money just being printed out of thin air to keep the whole scam propped up. It's not that we have a booming economy that's making the stock market surge. It's that we have a booming Federal Reserve, a booming central bank that is subservient to the stock market and is going to do whatever it has to do to keep the stock market propped up. They're going to kick the can down the road as far and as long as they can. Nobody can face reality. Nobody wants to talk about reality because if they did, if the Fed came out or if the president came out and actually talked about reality, these markets would crash overnight. People would panic. People would find out that they've been bamboozled. They've been sucked into a Ponzi scheme, and there would be a run to the exits unlike we have ever seen in the history of planet Earth. Things would absolutely collapse. But at some point, that day is going to come where somebody's going to have to step up and admit that we have a massive problem, that America is going to go through massive pain. We've been living as a country on a credit card way too long. Low rates for way too long. These rates have been way too low for way too long. We have way too much debt and nobody wants to feel the pain. We didn't want to feel the pain in 2008, so we just printed our way out of a situation and we're right back where we started. But the hole is deeper, the problem is worse, and at some point we're going to have to confront the problem. The problem is not going away, and at some point the bubbles, like all bubbles, eventually pop. And the question today is, are you prepared when the bubbles pop? Look, the party is going on right now, and enjoy the party while it lasts. But all parties and all bubbles come to an end. And the question is, are you prepared to deal with the end? Do you have preparations? Do you have hard assets? I know it's hard to believe that this is all going to come to an end, but think about it. Take a look at how people are living today. Are they living better now today than they were 10 or 20 years ago? No. Do they have more money than they did 10 or 20 years ago? No. Do they have more debt? Yes. Do you see infrastructure falling apart? Do you see this country falling apart? Do you see tent cities popping up everywhere? Did you see tent cities like this 10 or 20 years ago? I didn't. Did you see the infrastructure in your cities falling apart like this 20 years ago? I didn't. Not this bad. Things are not heading in the right direction, and we have to admit that there is a serious problem. We have problems financially, socially, politically, and this is all going to come to a head at some point, and we are going to see historical, biblical times taking place in America. Just take a look at what's already happening in 2020. From the situation in China to the beginning of the year in the Middle East, to this market that is so manipulated. You see the manipulation of how they're just holding gold and silver down. Take advantage of that manipulation. Do what the central banks are doing. Buy gold, buy silver, put it away. Don't worry about the price. Buy it, put it away. Don't think about it. Ensure your wealth. Ensure your future. Make sure you have food, water, and medical supplies. We don't know how bad it's going to get with the situation over in China. So make sure you're putting medical supplies. Go stock up on the pharmaceuticals that you need if you're reliant on that. If you need those pharmaceuticals, make sure you have them. I'm going to leave it right there today. A lot happening. Monday's not very far away. We'll see what happens. We'll see how much more they have to inject, how many more magic tricks and how many more rabbits they have to pull out of the hat in order to keep everything propped up. But I'm going to leave you with this. The day of reckoning is coming. Make sure you're ready.